These days, Russia is gripped by a deep sense of fear as Putin's anxiety has surfaced, sending the populace into a state of panic. It is alleged that the Kremlin palace is out of control, and the event that has sparked this fear also provides crucial hints about how the war will develop. All of Russia's flags have been tampered with as a result of the Ukrainian army's legendary resistance. The Kremlin administration never anticipated that this war would reach Russian soil, but recently bombs have been going off one after another in Russia. Russia's air defense system is unable to stop these explosions. In the city of Elderwood on the Washington border with Ukraine, explosions are occurring one after another, and as a result, the Russian army sustains significant damage. The Russian military trains its troops in Belgrade, where they are then dispatched to fight in Ukraine. Due to Belgrade's proximity to Ukraine, Russia chose it as the site for this training. However, the Kremlin leadership did not foresee the Ukrainian army's successful resistance to the Russian invasion as a result of the altered maps. Because to activities from the Serbian military, the Russian installation in Belgrade was now inside the range of Ukrainian missiles. Belgrade was the target of numerous Ukrainian army bombings. Putin's dread of the Ukrainian army initiating an air campaign against Moscow is what is making the Kremlin shaken, despite the fact that Russia incurred significant losses in these attacks. Russian citizens who left their homes in Moscow yesterday morning discovered something new on top of many of the city's tall buildings. The Kremlin administration has installed Panzer S-1 air defense systems on the buildings. People who took photos of the systems and posted them to social media experienced a great panic because the installation of these systems indicated that the likelihood of an attack in Moscow was very high. In addition, the success of the attack was also highly likely. The general fear among Russians is high. As Russians' concerns about their security grow, so does their anger toward Putin, who they believe has failed to ensure Russia's security. On the other hand, since the start of the war, about 120,000 Russian soldiers have died in the army. The number of wounded soldiers is unknown. These enormous losses are also a concern for the Russian people. The reason you installed default systems in Moscow is because Russian civilians believe that this conflict must end so that no more people die. If the Ukrainian army is actually preparing an air operation against Moscow, then why did you do this? There are not enough missiles in the Ukrainian military's arsenal to attack Moscow at the moment. The distance of 600 kilometers between Ukraine's northernmost border and Moscow is too great for Ukrainian missiles, but Ukraine has a much more effective tool for its air operations: drones. Drones direct runs, which are operated by the Ukrainian army, can fly up to very great distances and drop bombs made in Turkey, have become Russia's worst nightmare. In the past, some explosions in Russia were allegedly caused by Ukrainian drones. The world was shocked by the series of explosions that occurred at the Yaki-level military airport in Rikon and the angles made at through airport in the Saratov region of Russia. The Russian press claimed that the explosions were caused by attacks by Ukrainian army drones, and later the official authorities backed up these claims. In Russia's Kursk area, a fuel truck burst close to the airport following the explosion in the Kursk district. It is feared that Ukraine will use drones to carry out operations in Moscow if a drone operation is carried out against significant organizations in the city. If such an operation is carried out against Russia's reputation will be completely ruined, it is especially important for Russia to ensure the security of its citizens. Governor Roman Starovoid stated on social media that an oil fuel tanker at Corsica Airport caught fire due to a drone attack, but there were no fatalities because the fire was put out and all special services are working at sea. Since the start of this war, Putin has been making extremely harsh statements directed at Western nations, which has caused tensions between NATO and Russia to rise quickly. However, Putin's threats to use nuclear weapons have made those tensions even higher. Numerous experts have shared their predictions about what Western nations would do if Putin decided to use nuclear weapons, and there is one thing that all experts agreed on. According to these experts, Putin is preparing to invade Ukraine to bolster Moscow's air defense system. By putting his nation in tremendous peril, President Putin, what do you think about the ARDFAST systems installed in Moscow? Do you think the Ukrainian army might conduct an airstrike against Moscow? Why do you think Putin took the steps he did in Moscow against NATO? What do you think about the effect of this war on Russian politics?